Okay.
Hey, this is Coach's Corner, episode 6. We are joined today by Jaylin, one of the
Hey,
original members of the Esports Club here at Ferris. We're excited to have him on today. It's been a long time coming, so welcome. And then you guys know Coach Mans and Noah, aka Unknown. If you guys want to all say hi, introduce yourselves.
Hello, I think John did a good enough job. I am Mance, head coach of League of Legends team.
I am Noah. Unknown.
Oh, that just really that kind of hurt my ears, but okay, thank you. Um, first things first. Jaylin, you've been around. Forgive me for saying this forever. Before that, before it was an esports club, when it was just a League of Legends club. So, how has the program really changed since John has been hired in, and obviously me coming in coaching the team, and just talk about your experience in general.
well, I think the program got a lot bigger. Originally when it was the League of Legends Club, it was normally just like 6 or 7 dudes in a library that we rented out and play, and we would just sit around and play errands for like an hour or two, and then we were like, hey, you know, people are graduating, we're leaving, the club's not going to get any bigger. We might as well just extend this to the esports club, and we had a vote, unanimously agreed, and then after that, club blew up. Got to meet a whole lot more new people. I've actually played a few other games with people in this Discord, and yeah, definitely the right move. I still miss the small game we had back in the League of Legends club, but where we at now is definitely a lot further. Big improvement.
Yeah. So, do you attribute that to Jono? Do you attribute that just to the team in general, just wanting to reach out and meet other people, or trying to stroke someone
I
else's
attribute it to
ego
a lot
for
of
mine?
things. Like Jono definitely does have a big part in it, especially after he became president. He definitely did put his foot out there and put in the work to help the club grow. I think it's also about the like inclusion of it. Originally we were just League of Legends Club, and League isn't all that big on campus. But then when we became the Esports Club and we started including things like CS:GO and Rocket League and R6 and stuff, and so many more gamers came together, it showed us like how big the game community is actually on the Paris campus.
Yeah, or on every campus in general, not just Ferris. Just everyone plays video games. Just something that we've kind of like talked about previously. Not just during the pandemic, but like before that. Just like try and find someone who doesn't play video games. It's more weird that you don't play video games than you do play video games nowadays.
Right.
So considering that like all the systems and how easy it is to get in, $400 you buy a system and 2 games and you're all set, right? You're a gamer. Congratulations. Or
We're not
that
going to talk
cursed.
about mobile gamers.
I was gonna say,
Do
or
they
that
count?
that cursed
They're a different
mobile
breed.
games.
They're a different breed.
So we'll save that discussion for later.
Yeah, no, they're not real gamers. I'll say it out loud. Until we have a Clash of Clans team or something like that, or Wild Rifts, then I deeply apologize for those comments. Uh,
Dang, here I was trying to start a Wild Rift team, man.
I've never.
Oof.
Have you actually played it? The League of Legends version of a mobile game. Have you played it yet or no?
No, I haven't. I've been wanting to though.
Yeah, I don't want to either. It's kind of like, it's for people who don't have a good enough PC, or like you're actually doing something and you're so addicted to League that you gotta still play. And
But hey, the
since you won't
cinematics are good.
It's like a different build of the game though, is it not? So it actually
Yes.
like
Yes.
interactions work differently?
No, all
Or
the abilities I believe are still the same.
okay.
The abilities are the same, but there's some
Yeah.
interactions that are different because it's a mobile game.
Yes. And obviously harder to control and different abilities. I mean, I see some stuff on Twitter all the time and I'm just like, I have no interest whatsoever of playing this at all.
Yeah, if Overwatch released like a mobile Overwatch, I wouldn't. That's not like I have a computer to play, like
Yeah,
that's why I'm
exactly.
here. I built a computer to play Overwatch more, so why would I go? And if I'm out doing something, I don't feel the need to just
I'm not
like I play Overwatch
addicted
right
to
now,
the
like
game.
at
I
that
have to
point
play it.
drive home or
Yeah.
whatever.
No, see,
Mhm.
that's what YouTube's for. I just watch games. Then I'm so addicted that I'll just watch games. That's just kind of not only part of my job, but like just if I'm that addicted, and I'm not gonna play Wild Rift, I'm gonna watch someone playing.
That's why Twitch is a thing, right?
In YouTube, since
Yep.
Twitch is banned at my work. Thanks, Ninja. Thanks, Ninja.
I think YouTube is really going to be a big part of the future of streaming as well. I've heard they're adding a lot of the features like better chat, Twitch, like emotes, the better TV, stuff like that. So, and clipping is the big thing too. So hopefully that kind of steps up there. Twitch needs a rival.
It would have to be more of ease of access as well, because when people go to YouTube, they're looking for videos, not live content. Where Twitch, you're going there strictly for the live content, right? And then it just has the saved live content in the background if you want to watch something in particular. But yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to like get through my brain. Like I'm gonna go to YouTube to watch someone. It's just it doesn't like register in my brain because
Okay.
Twitch has been around forever,
That's
right?
because you're old.
I watch a lot of like a lot of the podcasts. I watch a lot of the Plat Chat Overwatch and Plat Chat Valorant stuff, and they do like live premieres. And then today they'll do like with the Valorant Masters tournament going on, they did commentary like live with it. So I watch a lot of that live stuff. I believe they do Twitch too, but since I watch their, if I manage to miss it live, then I'll watch it on YouTube. I always just, when it does come up, then I happen to watch it live too. So.
Yeah,
It's kind of ironic for people to upload their Twitch streams onto their YouTube. I was like, you can just
makes
do it
sense.
one or the other, but
You're
it
diversifying
makes
and you're
sense.
reaching new
But
people. And
It's just a matter of like where you can get like the most amount of viewers from. Like
yeah, I know. It just it looks weird because you could just, if you wanted to watch the VOD, you could just go to the Twitch channel and go to the VODs. But obviously, there's a delay for how long they last and all this other stuff. So
And there's a lot of like kids who will find something, like XQC. Actually, I've seen comments on his YouTube videos. I don't watch him anymore, but where they're like, oh, he does Twitch, and you're like, yeah, he's been doing Twitch since before he did YouTube. But like they're just like discovering because they see him in videos, and then or like you'll see that all the time. Like they'll see people in videos like, oh, they're gaming YouTuber, and like, oh no, they're actually live on Twitch, and somebody's just editing and putting it up.
Mm-hmm.
Or they link their Twitch in their YouTube videos. That's my personal favorite. It's like, hey, I know you're watching this video, but come watch me do it live.
Yeah, Pay Money Wubby, I think, does that the best. He's like, I'm
Oh
live
my
right
God,
now.
I
He was always
agree.
just like, I'm
I
live right
agree.
now. And you're like, oh, are you? You go check his offline. You're like, why did you, like, he's not live 24/7. Why did I expect that? But now I'm here on his page. Might as well drop him a follow. So yeah, I think that works pretty well.
He's a great streamer. Love that guy.
I had no idea who.
No idea who that is.
No.
React Andy.
He reacts to a lot of things, and he's
funny
a
though.
comedian.
He does a lot of
He's a
like,
comedian.
yeah, like hit pieces on YouTube where he'll like review a channel, like if they do like he's like, this is why this channel's bad and that kind of stuff. That's how he got big, like through Reddit. But
Okay.
nerd lore.
Nerd lore.
I don't understand reaction videos. Why am I gonna watch someone else watching something else? It's just kind of weird to me.
So you can know what you're supposed to be feeling,
Yeah.
Well, his
feel
videos
feelings
are
without being
different
told,
than
huh?
that, but
there you go. I concede that point. All right. All right. Jaylin, so what is your favorite memories of the esports program so far? I know you've been around for a while. I'm gonna keep saying that over and over again.
Yeah, I've been here for 2, maybe 3 weeks when I was lost track. I don't know. My personal favorite memory would probably have to be the first actual like esports meeting and seeing how many people actually like showed up and like how big like this could actually become. Like, oh wow, okay, I didn't think people would find us like this quickly. We went from like 7 people to like 40 on the first day alone, and then after that, like like 2-3 years ago, we reached our peak where we were getting like, I don't know, what looked like 60 plus people like per meeting and stuff. I'm like, dang, okay. And then seeing all the people, like how like all the people that were on teams. Like at one point we had like 2 League of Legends teams. I think we had like 4 Overwatch teams, something like that. 3 or 4 R6 teams, 4 Rocket League teams. Like yeah, like there were a lot of people joining this club. And I was like, oh, okay, this is really cool. This is really exciting. That's probably my personal favorite memory, just seeing all the people come together to join the club for the first time.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it wasn't like a game. We've had some like pretty like hypey games, like Bandwidth Bowl, like the first Bandwidth Bowl that I was there for, against MTU, almost beating them and stuff like that. So I'm happy that you said it was more of a social aspect of it rather than a game aspect. It speaks more to the whole program rather than just the game, because no one's actually happy playing League of Legends. But yeah, no, that's awesome. I don't know if anybody wants to add to that.
No, for sure, and that's why like during the pandemic there are more people playing video games, and we've had a ton of people join the club. But I'm really excited to when we can go have those in-person meetings. That's what made it feel more like the sense of community. Like, hey, I see you guys. Like, whether or not I play the game with you, we make jokes together. Like, we're doing that, and like the meetings on Discord are great, but it's mostly informational. While the meetings in person, you have the informational side, but then you also have the staying and chatting. side as well. So we're excited to get back to that when we can.
Which is hopefully soon, right?
Correct. It'll probably be
Yes.
the fall. But
Yeah, it will probably be after this semester, which sucks, but
Just have outside meetings.
actually
Getting warm.
everyone step up, step back.
Gamers going outside. I know it's kind of like we're all, we're
Yeah, no, that
You're
doesn't
living
work.
in
We're all gonna get
fantasy land.
sunburned. Like some guy's gonna be too reflective. We're all gonna be blind. Somebody's gonna be like, "Want to play Duck Duck Goose?" We're like, "This isn't the time, Jimmy. Sit down." Everyone's gonna get distracted, all right?
Yes. Yeah, going outside. What is that?
It's
Exactly.
been nice the past couple of days actually, which I've been pretty
Has
excited
been
about.
nice.
It was like 54 today, wasn't it? Like
I think it was like 60
I
or
don't know, I
something.
stayed
I
home.
went on a walk.
Go outside today.
Didn't go anywhere.
Feed my
Stayed
dog.
home.
Noah
Slept.
hasn't seen the sun since the New Year.
Even then, it was cold. Why would he go outside?
Yeah,
It's horrible.
exactly. It was cold.
Yeah, no.
It's like we live in Michigan. Smile.
Weird. Couldn't live there. Couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me. Too cold. Too cold. It's basically Canada.
Yes. So, side point: is Michigan Canada's underwear, or is Canada Michigan's hat?
I would say Canada's Michigan's hat because we're from Michigan and we're obviously way more important. So
There you go.
See, here's the thing. There are two Michigans, but there's only one Canada, so I think we're more important.
You. This is why I keep you around. The wisdom is just profound. This is why Jaylin's team leader. This is I need these one-liners, so thank you. Speaking of team leader, that goes into the next one. Oh god, I'm so good at these segues. After being appointed by the League of Legends team to be the team leader, how does it feel dealing with or how has it been dealing with the different personalities of the league team, and also the massive ego of your coach? Which I don't know who wrote that question, but thanks.
We'll do an investigation for who wrote that. Don't worry. And I don't know. It's been interesting having to interact with people and get things coordinated and situated together with like other teams. And sometimes like, hey, we're not going to be available on this day. Can we do it here? Like, no, we're not available then. What about this? And things just get delayed until eventually we're just like, who cares? Just quit the match, right? Or getting scrims. I recently was going around getting scrims, and I didn't believe you when you said it was really annoying, and found out firsthand, yeah, it's pretty annoying.
So, little backstory: I was scheduling scrims the entire time I've been here, except for this last scrim this last week, and everyone was kind of giving me crap because like I literally couldn't find anybody. Like no one wanted to play us in our skill bracket, and I was like, all right, fine, Jaylin, you schedule scrims, and I'm like, this is great. Have fun.
That's what I did with my Overwatch team. When I started taking over, like when I got hired, I had a lot more responsibilities in esports than because when I was the student club president, I could still do a lot of the other stuff, and I was scheduling all of our scrims for us. As soon as I got hired and had all these other responsibilities, I was like, this is a student role. This is something that we still want to remain in the hands of the student role. And so we gave it to Milk, and Milk did a phenomenal job with it. But yeah, finding scrims is definitely a pain.
I want to pull up an example here. Let me see if I can find this guy. I said approximately, what was this, a week ago? Hey, are you still looking for scrims tonight? He's like, yeah, I won't be at my PC for a bit. I can send you the op.gg, which shows everyone's skill level. It's kind of like the website.
It's a website, by the way.
Yeah, but later. So I sent him mine, and I still to this day have not heard back from him. I want to ask him if he's still alive. Because I'm really like curious because like he hasn't been back to his computer yet. Like I don't.
Dude hasn't made it home yet.
One of our Overwatch matches this week, we were like the other team was like, yeah, we'll be there, no problem. We added them. They added us back. They were in a competitive game, like a little bit over the time that they were supposed to be there. So then they joined the lobby. It was just one person, not the whole team. And we're like, hey, like, are you playing? And they're like, oh yeah, we're not playing, and they just left. Like. So like we booted the stream, we sat around and talked for like 15 minutes while we were waiting for this team, and then they show up and go, "Oh, that was today?" Nah. And like you sign up for a league, it's the same every week. Like what are you doing?
like think of it as like a traditional sports like perspective. Like imagine like one football player showing up to the game and they're all wearing all their gear, right? And they just walk up to your coach and be like, "Yeah, we're not playing," and then just leaves. It's like, like esports has a whole nother deal with people trying to figure out time management.
Yeah, because in real life, like, or not in real life, in real sports, you have to like physically be
Wait a
there,
minute,
and there's
traditional?
like people
We're a real
traditional
sport.
sports. Yeah, and or people, my teammates call them meat sports, which I think is pretty aggressive, but I like traditional athletics more.
Oh no.
But yeah, like you have to physically go there. But in esports, you're like, oh, I'm just at home on my computer, and then so people are just can be more flaky when they're just like, oh yeah, I don't feel like doing it now, and it's like. You signed up. You should
Okay,
still participate.
you signed up, but all right.
Matches feels weirder. Scrims is still like you said you would scrim an hour ago. Where did you go? Where did you go? What happened? Did you die?
Yeah.
Did you just disappear?
Yeah,
It's even better when they don't tell you until last second, like, "Hey, we don't want to play." Like, wow, could have gave me some time so I could at least attempt to find another one.
Something
Mhm.
came up. Cats on fire.
Cats on fire. Shows the video.
We'll wait for like 5 minutes before scrim time, and then now you're in like 6 discords, like spamming. Like, hey, does anyone want to play? Did anyone else
Looking
get their
for
scrim
scrim
canceled?
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking for scrims right now. Yeah, the ones that you always see for right now, nobody ever answers.
I always
Yeah.
set mine a half an hour back, and I tell the team like, okay, scrims are gonna be pushed half an hour today if you can make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easier to schedule. Even in a half hour, people are like, "Oh yeah." A lot of people will look for scrims like half an hour out. It's like, why? Just talk it early in the day. 4 p.m. if you have an 8 p.m. That way you can know. But it's just old me talking.
I had a guy posting in the CS:GO one. He was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for scrims for next month at XX and X date," and I'm like, "You're that's a long reach, bro. Like that's a month away." Oh no.
It's organized. He has everything planned out.
I guess so. Yeah.
The bigger universities would do that. I'll see that like the Waterloo and like UCLA and stuff like that. They'll do that where they'll post like a week ahead of time. Like we're looking for scrims on these days, and then they'll fill up that way. But I mean, like I've spent like an entire day looking for scrims, like a full 6 hours of messaging everyone who posts, and like I would either not get a response or they're like, "Hey, yeah, we're looking. Oh, sorry, even though you messaged us like 2 minutes after we found a scrim, so sorry." Yeah, stuff like that, or like just never respond. You'd be like, "Well, okay, that's unfortunate."
We had one last week that we couldn't find one forever, and eventually, like a way worse team, like a 300 SR lower average team, was like, we're desperate for a scrim, and we're like, it's not gonna be, we're just gonna beat you guys. It's not gonna be. But our players were like, we're gonna just play quick play if we don't get a scrim, so this is better than nothing. And proceeded to like spawn camp them for 2 hours and like meme on them, and I'm like, this wasn't beneficial. We should
You should have just played.
And like
play,
they were like, yeah, at that point, like we weren't being disrespectful by any means, but it was just like, why would you want to scrim? They're like, we feel like we can fight that far above, and no.
I mean, it's a good reach for them, right? Now they know.
Yeah.
Right.
When we
But
were
from your
when we were
perspective,
scrimming at
it
the
was
high
useless.
levels with our previous Crimson team, the variance
Mhm.
would be really weird. A lot of teams would lie about being that good because we were like just under GM, and so a lot of like barely Masters teams would be like, oh yeah, we're 3900 when they're 35, and it's like we would either go into scrims where like actual GM teams were like, oh, we're not quite good enough to face GM teams, so let's go for 3900, and they were like considerably better, or it was like, oh well, we're way better than we think we are. We're barely out of diamond, and we'd kind of smoke them. So we'd have to do a lot of vetting before with that team. But like in the plat range, which we're doing now, there's a lot of teams, and most people who are plat don't have delusions of grandeur, or they're not like underselling themselves by like looking at the pros. So it's a lot easier to find a scrim.
Overwatch is kind of weird though, right? Because you have to. I mean, can you look at the other team's profiles online before you even get in the lobby with them?
If they're open, but they can have them closed.
See, that's
even
the weird part.
Even in
Yeah.
lobby, you can have them closed. You can have them locked to even friends. Like you can have them fully locked down. Like, but there's been times where I go to look at someone on my friends list, their profile, and it's blocked out. I'm like, but so they don't harass each other. You should have open profiles, and because there was a lot of really cool stats
Have you
gathering
seen
websites
League?
where there's a lot of cool stats gathering websites where you go like it shows you what top percentage you are, how much damage you're doing compared to other people.
Mhm.
Well, that got really skewed now when a bunch of people can just hide their profiles, and so they can't grab that data anymore. And it's just like those websites just like quit like offering Overwatch stuff and like started focusing on other games because they're like, we have this infrastructure and they designed it originally for Overwatch, but Overwatch denied that, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, so League, the only issue with League was like people sending us like their Smurfs. So they'll be like, "Hey, look, we've got like 20 games in this account, and he's got like an 80% win rate, but he's gold. Don't worry, guys. Like, and we're just like, yeah, okay, this is okay. I mean, we still do have a really high variance, mainly because like we have played together for so long. Like our core of like 3 players have played together for 2+ years. So like we've played together for so long that we'll play a team who's like brand new and we just roll them. But then we go up like a division and we just get like pub stomped. And it's we played University of Kentucky in a scrim the other day, and it was like 23 minutes, 24 minutes. We're just game's over. We lose one fight, game's over, and stuff like that. We're just like, hey, look, like they're just better than us. There's not a whole lot we can do. I mean, I can point out all the things, but like continuing to practice them is pointless because they're just better.
And especially
right?
with snowball-based games like League or like Valorant, where like single players can carry. Like League is a huge snowball. You get an advantage, and if you're good enough to like barely win that first advantage, you can continue to press your advantage and just you
CS:GO.
get out of control. Yeah, CS:GO, and Valorant's the same way. Like you can, if one person can just deadlift an entire team. You can ace every round, or you can get a ton of value done. Overwatch luckily doesn't. I say luckily, it's good and bad. Like one player can't really just hard dominate. Even my friends like Grandmaster, like DPS players, smurfing in gold, like lose a considerable number of games, and like not trying to, just because you literally just can't deadlift 5 people in that game. Which makes it fun when you're in a team environment, everyone's working together, but it's awful in a solo queue environment where you're like, I'm trying to get a higher rank, and like some games are just completely unwinnable. Which isn't every game, but it sucks when you're like doing 80% of the work and you still lose.
That's how it is for R6. Is R6 versus CS:GO. R6 you can't really carry that hard. You have to have some sort of backing of your team. You can drop a lot of kills, sure, but because your team didn't put the right reinforcements up, didn't use their gadgets, you could still lose the round, lose the game easily. Whereas in CS:GO, if you just hit your shots, you can win the game for your entire team. You could drop 36 kills, and the rest of your team has like 10. Like that's one of the things with scheduling scrims for CS:GO is awful because you can't really see their ranking or how good they are until they invite you to the FACEIT hub or whatever, and then you're like, oh, okay, so you guys said you were average around 6 or 7, but then you have this one guy that's like level 10 and he's like 3 ranks above level 10 if there was a level 13, and he just drops 36 kills, and everyone else on their team is 8 kills, so you literally average higher because of this one guy.
Our current Overwatch team is like that. We have one Grandmaster main tank and a bunch of golden plats, and so
Oof.
like when we're doing, like we were playing a game this past weekend where they played dive on map 1, wiped the floor with us. Map 2, we picked King's Row, which is a Ryan Zarya map, absolutely just destroyed them. Like Toby, like on the Reinhardt, just 1v6 or like 1v6 and just completely won the game for us. Map 3, they picked a dive heavy map and we just lost the match because like we couldn't adapt to the dive. And yeah, it's hard to find scrims where you can't, like, either Toby's just gonna deadlift it and go crazy, or if they're not healing him enough, then he dies. Then it's just like the average is just better for the other team.
Right, and it kind of sucks from Toby's perspective, right? Because he doesn't want to have to drop his skill level at all, but playing with the natural lower skill level will naturally do that to yourself. So I'm sure it's hard for him to keep up his high competitive skill level while playing with lower skill
What's nice though
people.
is his role is more like cerebral than mechanical, and so he can still, like, even like if he's it's easy for him to like make mechanical errors and still get away with stuff because he can just outsmart the opponent. And he actually doesn't play ranked. He hasn't ranked out in like 5 seasons on any account. He'll play scrims and then he won't play ranked at all, which is baffling to me. But he's still really good. Like even when I was on the team, like consistently grinding ranked, like we were still like trading spots on different maps or however we wanted to play different comps, because he's still just that good with barely touching the game. I've tried to make him. He'll play ranked with us occasionally if we're just like, "Hey, come play." We're like, "Okay, I guess." But
Imagine how good he could be if he actually played then.
I know. I've been trying to push him, but he's just like, he really doesn't want to lose the love for the game and just like burn out. Playing main tank is, if you just have 2 bad healers, like you just can't do anything, and you're like the other team, you're just the first person to get targeted every time, and if you just like you're relying on your healers to help you get the most that you can, and if you just get blown up, then there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
That's how I'm trying to be, just be a god tier player while just not playing the game.
You need to start playing the games. You're falling off pretty hard there. But
what are you talking about? I was playing earlier today. You can check my PGG.
Yeah, no. Like for League, it's completely different because it's like everything's mechanical. Even the less mechanical roles are still mechanical, right? So you still have to have that muscle memory. You still have to have like skill shot accuracy and stuff. So The issue that I don't want to say issue, but one of the issues that I'm having currently with the team is getting everyone to play, because this technically we're in the off season, right? This is like we have one Ferris tournament coming up, but all of our season's like done after that. So I'm like trying to like not pressure them super hard to be like, hey, keep playing because we have a tournament coming up, but also don't not play because you've been playing, because like most of them have been playing like 10 games a week pretty consistently for the entire season, which has been since August. So like it's a very long time to be consistently playing a ton of games of League. And yeah, so I'm trying to like not be super like, hey, you guys need to do this and this, but like also Jaylin, you're like a full division lower than you were at your peak last season, and haven't gotten back up there yet. So
Yeah.
and you keep randomly dying 2v2 in scrims, so like that needs to stop. There's problems that I can fix, but if you walk into a bush and eat a skill shot and then just instantly die, that's not me, buddy. That's not me. I'm sorry.
It's cool. I can still blame you. I mean,
True.
What have been, Jaylin? What have been some of your favorite moments, like with the league team playing matches? Do you have any memorable moments from either any games or any live events that you went to?
Blitzcrank on the run.
Ooh.
Like
the cross
ABC
map
window.
Blitzcrank, running for like 2 minutes. That was pretty entertaining. I don't know. Like recently, there have been some. Well, actually, no. I'd probably go even further back to when Asen was our top laner, and it was him. We had Carmel, Savage, me, and Cody. I think it was, and yeah, we actually had some. We had a lot of success even without having a coach at that time, and like. Yeah, there were some, like, we had one game where we were down behind, like, a lot. It was, like, 20 to, like, 9, and we won 2 team fights back to back and we won. And that was a really feels good moment for us. Because, we had, like, some of our players, like, this game's over, we might as well just FF, go on to the next. Like,
Wonder who that
no,
was.
can't. No, I don't want to say names. Yeah, like, no, just play it out. Whatever, we scale, the age old adage of we scale, we can win, and somehow we scaled and we won. Yeah. Oh, really feels good.
So would you say that having a coach has turned like the entire league team like around? Or like, do you say it's more beneficial to have the coach around?
Definitely. I think the skill level of the team has gone up quite a bit by having Mans around. And,
like,
figured while he's here.
Whatever word you want to use, we've gotten better through his kind words.
Check your
Is he
PayPal.
threatening you? Show us your team.
Yeah, is he threatening you?
Oh no, would you look at that? I accidentally deleted our
Oh, look at the time.
What are some of the improvements that you've noticed since Mans has joined on board?
Our macro has gotten a lot better for the most part, especially our communication in team fights. That has also gone up drastically. Before him, whenever we got into team fights, we were pretty much just silent, just focusing on us. He taught us how to actually communicate in fights, what to say, how to properly prioritize targets and stuff like that. That has benefited really. He's helped me a lot with like wording. I still get on his nerves with my words sometimes, but as long as I put them down, I silence them a little bit.
Fair enough.
No, so just like my personal experience from like the improvement. Like when I first got there, we had no idea how to play as a team. We just knew throw everything on Savage and hope he carries.
Yep.
Right. That was our macro. That was our game planning. That was everything. And so you start off with like very basic stuff. Like, okay, at 8 minutes Rift Herald spawns, we're gonna try and get the dragon before that, and then we're gonna push out bottom lane. We're gonna rotate top and get a Rift Herald. Super simple, super basic, super meta play that we just do like basically every scrim just to practice. Like, hey, look, this is the macro play. This is how we get ahead. This is how we get tower play. This is how we get extra gold. And then the team fight thing I do remember because it was like by far the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. Because like when I coached other teams, it's just like screaming, right? You're just screaming in team fights who to go for, and you can look at like pro comms and stuff of like who you're targeting, and then the team fights. I'm like, is there a pause? Like, what's going on? Like, I have no idea.
Dead silence.
Yeah, and then like I just hear frantic like Savage breathing and like right clicking, and like people hitting buttons, and that's all I hear. Right?
League of Legends.
Yeah, that's literally like all I hear. I'm like, this is so weird. Like I have no idea what's going on. And then to help fix that, I had a couple different VODs from other teams I've coached. I'm like, here, listen to these comms, listen to what they're talking about, listen to how they're talking about things, listen, this was like when a new champion came out and it's like one of the players hadn't played against it, and they're like explaining what the champion does to them in the middle of the game as he's 1v1ing it, kind of things. So yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, this is how you communicate. You gotta like, and that'll help you with the rest of your life of how to quickly communicate information so that people understand, which is, I want to segue to, this is a life lesson, like all team environments are. Like you have difficult people that you may not always want to deal with, but you still have to work with and communicate with. And sometimes some people are being more difficult than others. You could say me for this example. That's totally fine.
It's always you.
It's always
Clear comms. The importance on clear comms is insane. So like the previous Crimson team, we had it down, like we had a really good shot calling system, and there's a lot of screaming, but it's very specific, like one word, like this person or this cooldown's out. But with the current team, they're still more like, they're a lot younger. They're almost all like freshmen or sophomores, and so they're just like, they'll like be in the middle of a team fight and like someone will make a joke, and I'm like, guys, like now's not the time to, or they'll just like scream something like Geronimo or something, like because they like died, or like, oh, the widow like killed me. That's so. I'm like, no, stop. Talk about the game. You need to get. So cleaning up comms has been like my big focus right now. Just like, okay, memes and stuff are cool, but like do it when you're not fighting, please. Like the important, like it can't happen in like life-saving moments.
You gotta record it and put one of those the videos like the league team just did about like our star comms and stuff, right? So like everyone knew that we were recording, so like no one did anything super like, like out of, there was no fighting or yelling.
I mean, Savage was Savage, but
yeah, come on now, he's not here. But yeah, no, the complaining is definitely the hardest thing to teach out, because you do that like subconsciously, like as you're playing solo queue. So you're like, oh dude, this happened. And I know when Noah was on the team, that was the hardest bit. I'm like, bro, we don't care. We don't care.
I do.
We don't care. Like, you need relevant information, cooldowns, flashes, ignites, whatever abilities they used to kill you, how many people were there. That's all I need. That's all anybody needs, and just move on, right? It sucks that you died. We'll talk about it later. Is that something like, whenever there's fights, I'm like, guys, we'll talk about it later. Just keep going. Just keep playing. Move on. And then, we'll bring it up and then we'll talk about it. And as long as we all come to an agreement that we can all agree on, or at least not hate, we just go with that. So,
some of my like IRL friends that I play with have a really bad habit of just like, oh, that was BS. Like, I was like, hey, like you were out of position. He's like, I got hooked by Hog. That's why I was out of position. I'm like, if you can be hooked by Hog, you were out of position in the first place. Like, in order to get hit by, he's playing like Ana, like a sniper healer. You should be nowhere near where he can be. Like, if you got hooked, like, he's like, well, that's why I'm out of position. It's like, before that, like, I know you're out of position because you're in their backline because he brought you there, but before that, you were still. So.
If you're complaining about your death, if you come across people who are complaining about their death a lot, it's because they've played R6 and CS:GO. There's no team fight. There's no team fighting in CS:GO, so you have to justify to your team how you died. You have to be like, "Oh my God, no, he was the problem. I wasn't the problem."
Can confirm R6 was the first game I actually like got into ranked in. So yeah.
Those games where you have like
really
one
weird,
life
though.
and multiple rounds, like dying is like a huge, like League of Legends,
Huge
Overwatch,
change.
you respawn, but yeah, it's a detriment to your team, but it's not nearly as much as like a CS:GO or a Valorant or an R6 like going down. It's
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And it's always because like you missed your shot or you walked through, you didn't check a corner, and you're like, it was totally like he was camping in a dumb spot. What an idiot! Well, he killed you, so obviously.
Exactly. See, in CS:GO, when you complain and die, it's not like the worst, because if you're an avid like CS:GO player, you can process of elimination. Oh, there's your teammate that's dead. Where would they be? Well, in R6 is completely different. They could have died from below, above, left, right, through walls, like across the nation. Like, it's completely different. So if you're complaining in R6, you're like, okay, so where did you die from? You could have died from anywhere.
Especially against like a Widowmaker, it's like, don't, like, if there's other squishies out in the middle of the open, like, she's gonna kill us. Don't be like, oh, Widow's so dumb. Be like, yeah, where is she? There's 90 spots she could be sitting. And I didn't see like the shot, like you can see where she shoots from, but like I didn't happen to see that. Where was it?
Yeah, and that's the weird thing is like you guys are talking about team fights and all that, and CS:GO's like, So yeah, I threw a molly and stopped the one guy from peeking window. But if he peeks window and sees 5 people, that's a team fight for him. So, so good luck, dude.
Yeah. So what made you play League then after R6? I'm curious. I'm always curious about how people found League, right? It's never just like I was gonna go play a game for fun. It's usually like I hated everything I played League of Legends.
Okay, so for a very very long time, I was pretty much just a console gamer. Then I got a job at McDonald's. Met a couple of people there who went to my school, and they were like, "Hey, you should play League." I'm like, "Well, what's that?" It's like it's a computer game. I'm like, "All right, I'll try it out." And they showed me the ropes. They taught me how to play League, and that's what happened. That back in 2016 or 17, something like that, is when I first started playing League because the coworkers at McDonald's.
Did you have like a laptop that you played on, or did you use like library computers, or what was it?
No, I had my granddad's really old office computer that was still running like Windows 7. It was hard to play, and every once in a while the computer would crash. But eventually, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna build my own computer. That League is actually the catalyst for what made me buy my own computer, just so I could play with these guys. And yeah, I got tired of it. And after that, I mean, they like slowly stopped playing. I'm like pretty much one of the only people from my original friend group who still plays League. Yeah.
The same thing kind of happened with Overwatch is the reason I built my first computer because I played it on console. I was a console gamer my whole life. I never took games that seriously, just played them for fun on the weekends, whatever. Never was that good at them. My brother would consistently just beat me at every single game ever. And then I started playing Overwatch. I'm like, I really enjoy this game. Got a PC, and then that's when I started. Like, luckily for me, all my friends still play it, but they're considerably they didn't grind it as hard as I did. So they're still just like, I just want to play Genji for fun and ranked, and I'm gold, and that's fine with me. So we'll just like play on nights and weekends and stuff. But it's never like I never like get asked like I can't be like, oh, let's go try hard because you can't even play that far skill rank apart. And even if I use like a Smurf account that's like mid to high plat, like we just start getting like losing games and stuff, and it's just no fun.
No, I didn't have any like normal friend group people that played League when I started. It was more of just I kind of found it myself. Because I walked in on my roommate. This is just sound way worse than it is. I walked into my roommate watching League. And I'm like, that looks cool. Him and like 3 other people were there. Me and my roommate weren't really great friends, but he was just kind of there. It's one of those. And yeah, I was like, oh, that kind of looks kind of cool. And then like I went and downloaded it later and played on my laptop from when I graduated high school. And I got 1 FPS pretty consistently in team fights. So it was actually like a PowerPoint, and I got flamed all the time. And I'm just like, I don't know why I keep doing this, but I eventually, built my own PC because of it as well. So it's an investment. It's an investment in self-torture. I'm sorry, I should stop saying stuff like that. I apologize. League is great.
You're gonna ruin our right sponsorship. Come on, now.
I'm
was
having a lot of
playing-
fun. There we go. No.
Yeah. I was playing I was majorly how I got into gaming in general was like Age of Empires computer games, and then it went from that to consoles, which was obviously Call of Duty and all that. But my friend basically got me into CS:GO, which he lived across the street from me, and he was playing CS:GO on his laptop, and I was like, what is that? That looks fun. And so he showed it to me, and so I was playing it on the Windows 7 classic computer that would crash mid-game of CSGO. And you don't need a very good computer to run CSGO, just like League of Legends. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll get a laptop. And so I started doing that and started playing laptop or CSGO on my laptop. And obviously, it's been that way for a long time. Got myself a computer so I could play at a higher FPS than 30. So and I went from there. And now I have like 5,000 hours in a game I've dedicated my life to. Smile.
I don't even want to look to see how many hours I have in League.
Overwatch counts hours
that is scary.
in a weird way. It counts hours in like from the match timer. So like in queue, like booting the game up doesn't matter. It's like actually like when the timer counts down,
Yeah.
like the seconds in game, and I still have close to 1,000 hours. So like and that doesn't even count scrims because custom games don't count, or they didn't count
Right.
back when we were scrimming. So I have 1,000 like in match hours, which is probably close to 3 or 4 like actual Overwatch hours. And that's and then you get console. I have a silver border account in console, a silver border account on PC. Like
Ugh.
yeah, a ton of it's just fun. And I like my friends and I when we go to play games, we're like, oh, what game do you want to play today? Is implied like after we've done our 2 hours of Overwatch and we're bored of Overwatch, what game is then? We rotate that game between like Minecraft, R6, League, Valorant, all those. But Overwatch is just always, it's just such a
Yep.
constant.
That's how it was for me growing up. It was always CS:GO, and then we got bored or mad at the game, and we were like, "All right, so Minecraft." Or
It's been hard though because like my friends have slowly been getting into PC, and then so you're trying to figure out what game to play because like okay, who has the least amount of games, and then someone will always be like, oh well, like one of the 5 or 6 people are like, I don't feel like playing that game, and then you do that for an hour, and then we're like, okay, I guess we'll go back to Overwatch.
Yep.
So,
How many hours did you say you had? I just looked it up.
I
about
have
1,000.
5,000.
Okay, I have 4,000 on League. Just a little bit under 4,000.
I have 5,000 across 3 accounts though. My main account only has 4,000. My second account has 700. My third account has 400. So 5,100 ish.
My main on PC has 1,000, and then my console probably has like 700 or something. But that's again recorded match.
Right. That's probably around like 4,000, 3,000, 400,000. Yeah. That's nuts. We have no life.
Yikes. Okay. All right. So the final 2 questions. If there was someone considering joining the esports club or any of the esports team, what would you say to convince them to do so?
All right. I get this a lot recently. This actually just happened like 2 days ago. You know, people who like message me like, "Hey, what's going on in the server? What's it like here?" And I tell them like, "Hey, very friendly environment. We play games casually, competitively. It's always nice to meet someone." You're like, I've played like some of the other games. I've played a couple of games of Overwatch. I played with some of the R6 players before. I was gonna play with the Rocket League one time, but then I remember I don't have it on here. I have it on my PS4, and I was like, "Oh, I don't feel like re-downloading it. Sorry, guys." Just meeting a lot of new people and experiencing like a lot of new games with better players than you. Because I'm like level like 6 or something like that in Overwatch, and playing with some of the people who were actually on like the gold team like 2 years ago, something like that. Like even then, like they weren't like that crazy good of a team compared to the other teams, but like I was watching them like, wow, you guys are insane, dude. Like you're just playing a lot. So it introduces you to a lot of new games and like a lot of new like ways to look at things, even in your own games.
Yeah. I remember playing with Nubis, the top laner, and I think were you playing too in that game? With me, we were playing with a couple of just the Overwatch team people, and we were just like for fun. Like Nubis was like okay, like sort of good, and like I was just getting dragged. I was just I'm like, hey guys, I'm hopping from spawn, just wait for me, just little brother, and yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like I was bad whenever I was playing with Jana. I felt like I was doing okay, but then like you play at like a gold level and you're just like, I'm dying always. I'm just always dead. I'm just running a marathon back and forth from spawn.
I've had one of my my old roommate who actually got me into Overwatch. He like he moved out because he went into the Marines and he moved to Japan, and I like during that time like is when I fully committed to Overwatch, played it a ton, switched to PC, and then grinded on the team. But he still sees it like he was into it a month before I was, so he just like still thinks like in his head like, oh, I'm just better than you and I understand more because we played it. But it's like no, you don't. And so like one time he's just like, I really deserve to be a higher rank than I am. He's like silver or like low gold, and I'm like, okay, here's my master's account. Like I have a master or one of my master's accounts. Get on this, play this. He's like, I think I could be, if not master's diamond. I let him play in a master's account. I let him play in a diamond account. And he's like, oh man, I was playing against like all Smurfs. I'm like, no, like those guys are masters is top 3%, diamonds top 10%. Like these guys are like. The game's really good at putting you where you should be. Like it knows. He's like, but look at my stats and my numbers. I'm like, stats are cool, but hitting a clutch sleep doesn't show. You hit just, if you hit a sleep on a Roadhog, that doesn't matter. Versus sleeping on ulting McCree, like it just shows up in your stats as one sleep per 10 minutes or whatever. Like it doesn't. The impact is way different.
You run into people like that across like any game you play, no matter what. Like, oh, I can't climb. My team is always holding me back, and then you actually play with them, like. I
don't know if that's the problem.
Same skill level of your team, dude. Like...
I'm seeing a common denominator here.
Yeah, like that's the one thing I always say to everyone. Like the only constant in your games is you. If you run into 10 bad teams in a row, you're being toxic and they don't want to play with you and they're throwing or whatever. Like
the
or
problem
just like, oh, my teammates are bad and toxic. Like you're also making just as many mistakes, but in your head you justify. I'm like, oh well, that was stupid. That shouldn't happen. I wasn't really. But all they see is Anna peeking the Widowmaker and dying. Like
Yep. Problem lies between the keyboard and the chair, and there's nowhere in between.
True. So we had a member of our team that actually had like a 33% win rate in ranked. So Jaylin, why don't you just like, when you say that, like, no, you belong to be there, why don't you just shout him out? Because he's currently like a full medal division above where he was after, getting unstuck. So I think League's probably like one of the only games where it's just like, over the short term is not very good at placing you, but like over the long term, it figures itself out. Especially with the new season, they changed the way LP games worked. So you actually gain and lose less LP per game. So it means you have to play more games to get out of a certain area. And unless you're like duoing, it's extremely hard to get consistent enough teams to where you just win every game. So League right now is probably in the short term one of the only factors for that. I mean, everyone else I know that was like Challenger last year is like Challenger GM this year. So it's not like, it's not like the super top, but it's like, the silver through plat area where just like, hey, this person was plat last year, but now he's in silver. So I don't know what's going on, but something weird's happening. So yeah, when they mess with the system, it changes. But like I said, League's probably the only exception in the short term right now.
I did that in Valorant. Like I played a ton in the beta, and then I played a ton the first season, and I reached platinum in the first season, but I haven't played since then, and it's been about 9 months to a year. And so I re-ranked out, and I ranked out bronze, and I'm like, oh boy, like I thought I wasn't gonna be. I was at the top of bronze still, but everyone's like, yo, you were plat. Like what? Like are you throwing? I'm like no, like. I played when everyone was bad and didn't know what they're doing, and now like bronzes are to have the same game knowledge. They're executing the stuff that plats were a year ago. Like the skill base of the player base is increasing. The same with Overwatch. If I see people who are Grand Champ Season 1 who are gold, or like Grandmaster Season 1 who are like gold or plat because they were just like, yeah, I was really cracked at the game, and then now they're like stuck diamond plat because it's like, oh well, it's just harder. My teams are bad. Like no, like everyone around you is getting better, and you're just not improving. You just like naturally had good aim from a different game, and so you could just click with people in Widowmaker. But when the meta shifts or when people learn new strats and new combos, like you're just not executing them. And then now, like even if you look at golds now, like golds nowadays would have beaten Diamond and Masters players in the first season. Like the user base just understands a lot more, especially from watching the pro scene. Like it's been pretty insane to watch all these different games. Same with Fortnite. Like when Fortnite first came out, you could just like sit in a bush and like snipe the last dude and win. And now it's like you'll just get dunked on by really good kids.
Because they're building 2 skyscrapers above you, and
and you're just sitting there going,
shotgun free falling you, headshot from the bush. Yes. Yeah, no. So like League is that way, but League is starting to digress a little bit because it's been around for so long, and the player base, at least in NA, is significantly shrinking every year, which is obviously not a great thing. And I don't know what the reason is. I mean, the player base is seemingly increasingly more toxic, not verbally, but just action-wise. So I don't know exactly what's going on, but you can look at the numbers. We're shrinking by like 2% every year, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're talking about 1 million players, it's kind of a lot. So yeah, I'm slightly concerned about that. But as far as like the viewership and stuff, the viewership has never changed. It's just the actual players is going down. So
I don't even want to talk about CS:GO rankings. It's just so bad. That system is so bad, and they haven't changed it since launch. So,
Do you think with CS:GO they're going to continue to refine CS:GO or drop a new CS game? Because I know
I think they're going to continue to refine it. Because honestly, the new CS:GO game was Valorant. I'm going to be honest with you. Like that was the modernized CS:GO game, if you think about it. And then they took aspects from other games and made it a whole new thing. Which CS:GO professionals left CS:GO and went to there. But there's also such a huge, bright future for still CS:GO itself. They're probably just going to keep refining it until they find a need to make a new game because they're losing a player base. But the player base actually went up in the past year than the past few years before that, where it was constantly going down. And so obviously that's probably because of the pandemic and all that. But at the same time, I mean, with all the events going on, the professional aspect and the scenes, I don't see it going anywhere because then there's a whole different thing, like a whole scene you have to make up, a whole rule set, new refs for how it's got to be officiated, all that stuff. So I don't really see that happening, but it could. I don't know. I feel like Valorant was the modernized version of CS:GO.
Okay. Yeah, with Overwatch, like they've put a lot of the resources into making stuff for Overwatch 2, And they definitely announced Overwatch 2 way too early. Like, it's not even coming out this year. It's
Agreed.
coming next year, and it's been almost
hmm
a year and a half since their original. So Overwatch 2 is a lot of big people were like, oh, I'm just gonna like play other games till Overwatch 2 comes out, and they didn't realize that was gonna be 3 years. And so they're like, oh, now they're just like stalling. Surefour quit playing professionally, and now he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna focus on my stream, and when Overwatch 2 comes out, like maybe I'll come back. And Blizzard's been doing a really bad job of supporting like the tier 2 and tier 3 scenes. The collegiate scene, like the company who was doing it, Tespa, was doing it phenomenally. It was fantastic. Then they switched to the way they did it. They went through game battles, and the quality just tanked. And now we're getting a ton of forfeits. Like, teams just signed up for this league and then quit and bail in the league because, and this is the official Blizzard sponsored league, and it's still like really bad. Um, and so hopefully they get that figured out and they get like support for tier 2. Like, a lot of tier 2 players, like, you could be playing professionally in the tier 2 scene, like even winning and still like not making enough to live on. Like, you have to just go. And the teams, like the major league teams, are sinking money into their minor league teams to hopefully get some talent out. But it's not like they literally just know, like, the minor league team is just a money sink. Like, we're never gonna get that value back. And so a lot of the tier 1 teams are like pulling those teams, and a lot of even just like homegrown teams who were like put together by these orgs are just like disappearing. And big name teams who consistently win championships, if they fall for like 6 months or something, they're just like, we're done with Overwatch. And you saw a lot of the hit scan DPS players go to Valorant. FaZe, if you're watching the tournament today, the FaZe teams, 4 out of 5 of their players were ex-Overwatch players. Some of the are definitely some of the top 5 hit scan players with Corey and Baby Bay on that team. So it's Valorant definitely shook up a lot of esports scenes.
Yeah, definitely. And like, it's the whole thing where you just said a bunch of hit scans went over. Whereas Overwatch is a great transfer, in my opinion, for into Valorant because of the hit scan aspect and then all of the ability based around there. Whereas CS:GO, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I have good aim. I can go to Valorant and I can get my aim up, and all I have to do is figure out what these abilities do." Yes and no. There's a lot of people who struggle with that, where aim can only get you so far, and then they just don't use their abilities. They just assume, "Oh, I can just out aim everybody because that's all you have to do in CS:GO." Not really. So it's like I don't know, that huge change from, you can tell who came from what game and what people like belong in what rank, and I don't know. That's why I haven't played Valorant in a long time.
It's so interesting to watch the pro teams and see the difference in the old CS:GO players versus the Overwatch players. Because
Mhm.
right when the game first came out, CS players were dominating because they had the aim, and like Overwatch players weren't used to like sitting still and shooting. But now that
Right.
once they got those mechanics down a little bit, the Overwatch players are starting to take way over. And now we're in the phase where the Overwatch players are dominating because they're understanding they just have a more inherent like abilities usage in combos and stuff like that. I think
Mhm.
we're going to see that even out to boy where they're almost the same eventually. But it was funny to swing because at first people were like, oh, you're an Overwatch player, that's why you're bad at Valorant, and now it's like, oh, these Overwatch players are kind of dunking on these CS players, at least at the pro level.
Right, exactly.
All right. So we're kind of pressed for time. So
Okay.
get the last question in, because we have another thing to go to after this. So with President Eisler retiring, supposedly at the end of next year, don't quote me on that. What would you say to administration about your time at the esports program? Because obviously with new administration comes new project goals and stuff like that, and to continue to have esports be the forefront of at least one of the smaller projects would be a wonderful thing for all of us.
I would definitely say this is one of my most favorite clubs that I've partaken in, and at the Ferris College. And I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, we need more funding because people already
Please
talk
do.
about that. But there are a lot of things. there are a lot of things that we can't just sit here and do like for free all the time. We can't do. There's like, oh, it's just a game. You have the game, you have the computer, sit down, play, get money like that. Like, it's not always that simple. But this it's a growing community. More people are joining every year. I get people messaging me from the main server all the time, asking me about stuff, and I'll tell them they go contact their friends, and more people. Like, this club has been growing a lot, and I feel like it hasn't been getting the attention it kind of deserves. And I hope the new administration does recognize that and see the value and potential that this club can have in the future. I understand like part of it might just be due to like the COVID and people staying in, gaming and more and stuff, but like still there are a lot of people in the United States who like do partake in this for fun, and are looking for more ways to get into a more competitive scene. And I think the Esports Club is the perfect avenue for that, or at least the perfect entrance for it.
And we're also making you a better person by teaching you to deal with people that you don't normally deal with, or maybe you don't agree with, and learning how to communicate and be a part of a team, and eventually a working member of society, right? Yes.
Functioning.
Functioning, yes. Yeah, because I mean, you can definitely tell the people that like play games by themselves, and then they're sort of not really prepared as much as someone who's played on team. That's sort of like how in high school, my high school always encouraged people to join sports, just because of A, you make friends, B, you you learn how to be social and get yourself out there, where it wasn't really a thing naturally. Kind of like with how everyone is always looking down at their phone, and it's pretty nice to talk to somebody at one point or another in your life, so this definitely helps. Even if you are talking about video games, you are still communicating in ways that can be constructive and express your feelings and stuff like that, if you have them.
That's just how team environment works. Like, especially on highly competitive teams, you're just like, even if I don't agree with you like personally, we're still working together. We have to put our best foot forward, and we have to I have to communicate with you effectively in game to make sure we get those goals achieved.
All right.
Any last words? Anything else, Jaylin, that you want to add while your time in the spotlight?
Thanks for having me on. It was very enjoyable talking to you guys. My first time in the Coach's Corner. I've watched a few of your videos, and I will continue to watch more of them. It's a very enjoyable experience.
We're glad to have you on, man. It's been fantastic to have you here through the whole growth of the club, and we're definitely going to be sad when you graduate. Good for you. We want you to graduate. That's the goal.
Yes,
but
we're happy for you.
That is the goal. But sad for us.
Student athlete, but there's a tier.
Yes, I will be especially sad because I will no longer have my negotiator in game. So, a little unfortunate, but yep, that's it for me. We're wrapping this up.
Sounds
for
good.
Watching.
Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, donate $100,000 or whatever you have.
What?
Follow the socials. Follow the socials.
Yep.
My
Ferris
man's
Esports on
grandma.
Twitter. That's the biggest one. Go to our Twitter. Go follow us right now. Go like every tweet. Go react to every tweet. Retweet everything.
Thanks for watching, man's grandma. It was
yeah,
great.
thanks for watching, man's grandma.